Hey there, welcome back to the channel. So today I'll be working on this customer car, which is receiving an LS engine swap. However, before the engine goes in, this chassis must be reinforced to handle the power. That is what I'm responsible for. So I'm going to show you an in-depth look at how I usually reinforce these cars. Meaning, this video will be a fairly long duration. However, I insist you watch it through the whole length, as there's important steps that I do. This will be the third E46 that I've reinforced. So I will be doing the reinforcement from the bottom of the car, also reinforcing from in the cabin. We will be installing some new subframe bushings and a Seems Legit differential mounting kit. Join me as I get this project knocked out. So far, to kick things off, I have removed the whole rear axle assembly, subframe. I also lowered the fuel tank, so it gives me plenty of room to prep the surfaces for the reinforcement plate welding. And here is the rear axle assembly in all of its glory. After further examination of this subframe here, it's a little too corroded for my liking. Even if I did get it sandblasted and powder coated, there's no guarantees that the rust wouldn't come back. I think it would. So we sourced a cleaner one from California. As far as the parts go for the job, we have reinforcement plates from Hopwood Motorsport, polyurethane subframe bushings from Garagistic, a Seems Legit Garage heavy-duty differential mounting kit. We paired that with solid aluminum front subframe bushings from CT Motorsport. Then a Deuce and Strut Works strut brace and in-cabin reinforcements here. They will go underneath the rear seat to reinforce the front points of the subframe, which are right there, okay? So overall, I like to reinforce these cars not only from the bottom, but from also inside the cabin. That's why I run the trunk brace and these plates. He supplies the drill bits for you and everything, special bolts, which replace the OEM bolts, and overall, just clean, solid work. Look at that, and his little tag on there. Now, when it comes to removal of the original bushings here, I take a drill and I will drill around the center race, tap out the center race with a hammer. I then stick a sawzall in here and I'll cut the outer race of the bushing and I'll tap it right out. And there we go. That is typically how I get these bushings out. Okay, it's about time to begin grinding down the body of the car in preparation for the welding. But before that, I'm going to show you what I usually wear safety-wise. So typically, I use earplugs, respirator, and a monkey mask, like that, as I'm grinding down the body of the car. I also, what I do is, I set up a fan like this, so it blows past me, because a lot of material becomes suspended in the air as you're grinding. I also do wear safety glasses underneath of the monkey mask, so it's like a double protection for my eyes. Now, I personally recommend more of a goggle style of eye protection. I forgot to buy a set, but I'll be alright. As far as mocking up the plates to the RACP, that's what this is called. It is the rear axle carrier panel, okay? We're going to use a lug bolt, as it is the same thread pitch as the threaded insert that's in the body. Also, the natural taper shape to the lug bolt will help center the plate in its hole, okay? And then the tool I use for removing material, I believe a die grinder is the actual term, but I call it a whiz wheel. Hey there guys, so what I'm doing here with the grinder is I'm removing rust that caught my attention. Now thankfully this car is fairly clean body wise and it was all just surface rust right on the spot welds. Now let's say I could not get the rust out. I would actually drill out the spot welds and then have them plug welded. But in this scenario, the rust came right out with a grinder. The whiz wheel, it is not that aggressive to remove that much material. It's just a clean off surfaces pretty much. Yeah, so the grinder works amazing for quickly descaling and removing any layers to get rid of any rust, at least in this scenario. Now that the dirty job is done, I'm going to do an acetone wipe down of all the areas that I just ground down. I'm then going to follow up with a weld-through primer to coat the surface. I will also use weld-through primer on the back of the plates that will get mounted and welded to the car. Doing weld-through primer to those two surfaces will help keep corrosion from happening between the body of the car and the plate. And also, hence the name, weld-through primer, you can weld right through it. It's a zinc-fortified paint. Okay, so now we are here in the cabin of the car where the rear seat usually goes. Here are the cups that will reinforce the front points of the rear subframe. They will be approximately right here. Now, we must cut out for this shape here so this rests evenly against the body. So in order to find the proper location to mount our cups, we're going to use this supplied special bolt and drill bit. And we're going to go underneath the car. We will then thread this into the body of the car where the subframe bolts go. Following that, we will take the drill bit, go through the bolt, and then drill up through the cabin. We will also do the same thing to the rear mounting points to expose the locations to where the trunk brace will be mounting to the body. So now you will repeat the same process for the remaining 3 mounting spots. Now when it comes to these front 2, you want to go even slower, as the last wall you will drill through is the slanted part up in the cabin. You do not want to press too hard because you could potentially snap your drill bit. And here we are, now inside the cabin where those cups will get mounted. Right there is where the drill bit came through, behind that bracket. So we will drill out the spot welds for this bracket and just pop it off. Now as you can see, that last wall you drilled through is indeed slanted. So you got to imagine the drill bit coming straight up and attempting to drill through that. So you want to go slow with even pressure so it can come up through there, okay? And there we go. They have been removed. There are my lines. Now what I find best is to start out smaller than you would envision, and then working your way up in size until this fits nice and tight in there. I am now going to drill the holes in the trunk here. So now that we have the larger holes for the trunk brace to rest inside, we need to also enlarge the holes so these included longer bolts can come the whole way up through and grab the brace. The initial pilot hole is not big enough for that bolt to come through. We have this drill bit right here, which is going to enlarge the hole so we can run our bolt up through the body, okay? Now you can see what I'm talking about. We just opened up the threads so the bolt can come through. And there is a view of the ground, straight shot down. You see that? Now, our bolt will freely pass through the body and it will grab the trunk brace. And as you can see, here is a mock-up of the trunk brace. Just to give you a visual representation of how they appear and how they are installed. Just like the back points, we also have these special bolts for the front points. They mimic the OEM bolts, just have a longer head or a longer top threaded portion. Once again, to come up through the insert, which will grab our little cup here. So let's go ahead and drill out that hole. And just like that, there it is. That threaded hole is now completely passed through. So yeah, now I'm going to prep these surfaces for welding. And here we have the reinforcement plates and the in-cabin plates. They are now coated in weld-through primer on the sides that will be contacting the body, once again to help prevent corrosion between the plate and the body of the car. And here we have our replacement subframe, which came from California. UPS dropped that off today. Look at the difference. This was the original, and this will be the one that we're about to modify for the Seems Legit Garage heavy-duty differential mounting kit. And we're also going to install our bushings into it. Let's do it. So now once the big mount has been cut off and the surface has been smoothed, you'll take your two tabs, which are included. They will get welded to the subframe. And then the sandwich plate, which goes between the diff cover and the differential, will then mount to the tabs, as shown here. There we go. Also, to make a revision of the extraction method, you don't have to drill the entirety of the center race out. You can just drill a hole big enough for your Sawzall blade just to fit. And then you can slice the outer race like that. And then, as you've seen, they tap right out. Hey there guys, so really quick, within this still shot you can see how I have mounted the Seems Legit Garage differential mounting kit. So the tabs that I had welded on there, they should actually be in front of the sandwich plate for future easier differential removal. The way that I did them in this application, the differential cover will need to come off every time you remove the differential. Once again, if you were to actually weld on those tabs in front of the sandwich plate, the differential will come out much easier without cover removal. Let's get back to the video. And here we have the reinforcement process from below complete. I'm going to start by reinstalling the fuel tank, and then I will raise up the subframe assembly. And here we have the fuel tank reinstalled. Now, any form of yellow material you see dripping here, that is all a corrosion inhibitor called fluid film. I really enjoy that stuff. I sprayed his brake line here with it and coated it, and any certain crevices or holes that I felt necessary I filled in. So it is now time to reinstall the rear axle assembly. Let's get it done. There we have it. She is fastened. If you notice, my fancy homemade washers here, as the customer did not leave me with the brace that goes across here, so I cut up a piece of rear trailing arm bushing bracket and made my own washers just to hold the subframe up. Because if I didn't have some kind of fat washer, that center of that bushing would just separate and the subframe would drop in the front. So now that we have the rear axle assembly reinstalled, it is now time to finish up the work from in the cabin. Now, with the subframe secured to the bottom of the car, you can see the longer bolts passing through the body. Those will tie into the trunk brace with a nut and washer. And here are the spots within the cabin. As you can see, they were finished in the same coating as underneath the car. well, that's all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me as I got this car taken care of. I do believe the work turned out pretty good. Overall, I'm pretty happy, pretty satisfied. So if you found the following video to be useful or knowledgeable, or even just entertaining for you, please consider subscribing to my channel, as I highly appreciate it. As far as tonight goes, I'm going to pull in another car that's here for a complete manual swap. I may begin working on that one next, so yeah. As far as you and I go, I'll see you guys in the next video. Catch you later.